A wonderful good evening. This is Bastian Lee Jones of LebenslustTV. We are here in Berlin at Privatclub in Skalitzer Straße, and I attended a wonderful show, and it had been two parts. The first part was very heartrending, and it was very light, and the second half was very bright, very uplifting. But I think you are really a master of getting the arc from ballads like Grace till your up-tempo disco songs, isn't it?
I try, I mean, life is so like a spectrum, and, there's so many emotions that you have, and, I'm a silly, fun person, but I also care a lot about the world and things, so I like to show all of the sides of the personality in the music.
You started out as folk singer, I read, and there was an interesting sentence I stumbled over. And it went like this: okay, you started out as folk singer because you hadn't had the technical skills to do a production. And it's like, for me, it was very inspiring because it's like, these coaching thing, like, okay, you have lemons and do lemonade out of it. Yeah, wasn't it like that?
It was very much like that. Sometimes you don't have the equipment or the skills, and you really just experiment, and like every so often something will make sense, and then you kind of find a new direction, and you can build a journey like that.
Then you went to Warwick University and you were studying English literature. I mean, obviously, your lyrics are so deep. You must have had, before you were studying literature, you must have had something that makes you, so not wordy in an empty way, but really deeply wordy.
I think really where I'm from, you weren't encouraged to do anything for studies that wasn't practical. So it was English, history, science, maths, So that really was the only of those subjects that made sense to me. And I read a lot, and there was the creative writing element to the course, so it was kind of okay. It really wasn't what I wanted in the end, but I did read some great books, so that's something.
Okay, and then you went to London, had built up your home studio, and you were busking in the tube. And this is, I think, a fundamental thing that you are still. You have an endurance. You are, I think, 9 years on the market under your stage name Bright Light, which comes from the Gremlins, I understand. Yes, but you don't call your fans Gremlins like other artists call them monsters.
Yeah, I think maybe giving your fans a name is a bit pretentious. If they want to adopt something, they're totally fine, but I'm not. I'm going to let them do their thing.
Okay, and then it made Boom Blip Bang Bing Bang in Los Angeles. And there you created your sound. Was it a hard struggle? You must have had your idols. I think your roots are the 80s, like bands like Erasure, like Duran Duran, like Stock Aitken Waterman, all these productions, as well as Elton John for sure, yeah?
I think, it's hard to find a sound because you don't want to replicate songs that have been before, but you're also influenced, so you kind of want to balance like a homage with sounding original and keeping it fresh. And that was the struggle, really. So it took a while to work out how to do that best.
And how did you work with him? Did you sit in the studio and just talking about it, philosophizing about it, or was it just switching on the computers and the synths, or?
Well, I sent him the songs in advance, and one of them, like Disco Moments, sounded quite like it did, and A New Word to Say was absolutely different, and he completely reworked that, so that was amazing. And we just, experimented with sounds, and he showed me ideas, I showed him ideas, and it was just so fun. I love his work, so yeah.
So you were on the same wavelength immediately, I think, no? And then it makes bang, no? Okay, that's the one thing with the sound creation. The second thing is, what I've seen in your video productions is that you love dancing and you love dance companies and dancers around you. Where does it come from, this physicality that you are focusing on?
From watching films in the 80s and 90s, I love the moment where the dialogue stops and they have the performance. It takes you out of your everyday life, and I think that's really magical. It's really fun.
think the magic, I mean, every artist is in his or her own universe, and it's not a kind of escapism, I think. It's just maybe a reflection of the surrounding, of life in general, or of emotions. And what keeps you going most? Is it the passion? Is it the circumstances in the world? Is it your private emotional life? What is it? What gives you the power and the energy to, I mean, you put out within 8 years, I mean, almost 90 publishings. Come on, that's awesome.
I have no answer. I don't know what else to do, you know. I spend my time making songs, and that's that. It's just how I am. I don't know.
And what makes you Lebenslust? I mean, the show is called Lebenslust. It means lust for life, most besides music and art.
Connection. So connection with people, with places. I think that, you know, the way you move through life and the people you connect with and how they change your own self and your sense of self is really fascinating. So I'm very much like I listen to conversations, and I love the people that I meet on the way. So that's what makes me excited about the world.
You were telling from stage on, you know, I mean, it's quite hard to make a living, to be a touring musician, a performer, and a singer-songwriter. I mean, you could say, okay, there are several revenue streams, but I know how hard it is, especially here in Berlin. You have 300 shows per day in Berlin, so you're competing with a hell lot of people and artists and shows. And I mean, the energy, the inspirational thing, I mean, there must be some kind of source that you are clinging to, where you escape to get the energy. I mean, this is really, I know my colleagues, they are struggling all along. Yeah, they try to get some songwriting things for other artists, you know, just to survive, because we have the streaming model going on. I mean, I've seen on your merchandising table, you're doing vinyl, for sure, and you're doing CDs. And what do you think, what will be the future of music and of performing artists like you are?
I really don't know. The future of music is so changeable now. I really don't know. It changes every day, and I don't think anyone really can predict. Even the people that you think would know, I think people are still very confused by the changes and how fast it all changes. So I really don't know.
The difference between, I mean, playing an audience as support for Elton John or Ellie Goulding, I mean, okay, 10 years ago, Ellie Goulding wasn't that big at all. I don't know that well Ellie Goulding. But with Elton, I mean, you're maybe playing for an audience of 10,000, 20,000 people, and now you're here in that club with 200 people or 100 people. I mean, where is for you personally the difference? Is there any difference?
The difference is the connection. You know, on a huge arena stage, you really don't have the opportunity to really connect with everyone in the room. So it's something like this, you can really make it so much more about the music and the party and make everyone feel very much included, you know? That's what I really like about the smaller shows.
Communication. I mean, you had been communicating with everybody who was standing around, for sure. And the communication thing, I mean, you're taking, you know, lots of focus on your lyrics, and this is what I like very much, because sometimes in the 80s I was thinking, okay, the lyrics weren't that important at all, but with you it's quite balanced.
Yeah, I mean, no one is paying me to make music, so really I make the music because I love it, and so there's always a message, you know. It's not like somebody found me and told me to make songs for hundreds of people, you know. I make the songs because that's just what I do, so there's always a story. Yeah.
Wonderful, and it's so authentic, it's so real, it's so true. Thanks a lot for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Blessing. Work. I'm talking to the team of Bright Light, I think. I mean, you're enjoying it very much. I see you here, standing, assisting.
I'm here, yeah. I'm driving, I'm selling merch.
Yeah.
Meeting new people.
Yeah.
Having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, great. And how did you get to know each other? Years ago, I think. Years ago, no?
I had some music, and Rod worked on my very first release, so we were friends since then. About 12 years.
Great, yeah.
12 years I've known that guy. Long time.
Long time. So before he was he became
Before he became a star, yeah.
Yes.
When he was just Rod Tunney.
Yes, stand up for star. All right. Thanks a lot for the show and everything. Yeah?
Thank you very much.